All right, guys. So this is going to be my first video. Something I've been considering doing for a long time. I don't really have any reason that I haven't pulled the trigger on it just yet, other than commitment. That's mostly been my primary issue. Do I want to commit myself to making sure I'm putting out content and paying attention to it, throughout the course of its run and commenting. And it's not that I have a problem with any of that, because I don't. I have 6 kids. We own a business that has 4 locations. We're involved in a lot of things, and there's only so many hours in a day. But the bottom line is, man, my cards. That's usually how I decompress. That's where that's where everything comes to an end for me. That's where I sit down. I start looking through all my stuff, buy a card, trade a card, look at somebody else's card, scroll through and comment on a thread. That's decompression time. And it kind of seems like maybe making a video might be just another avenue to be able to do that. And, I went to the National last weekend and bumped into Eric, those back pages. And I've seen that he's kind of talked about it a little bit in the video since, so I feel comfortable, discussing our discussion, I guess you could say. I met him in, I want to say it was a corporate booth. I think it was Dave and Adam's sports card booth. I think that's where we were. And of course, I told him I like his content, and I do. I really enjoy it. I like it. A lot of these guys out here. You guys all do an amazing job. It's a it's a deep rabbit hole to go down. I think you all know that. But we were talking, and he's like, are you making content? And I said, no. I said, I've been going to. I'm sure he's heard that a million times, and he told me, he goes, you need to do it. And he points at my kids, because I had my daughters there with me, and he goes, you need to do it for these guys, and then he started going to, talking about how, he lost his mom at a young age. He couldn't remember with just the sound of her voice, just something that simple. And, I didn't even think about that when he made the comment. I was thinking more along the lines, if something were to happen to me, they would have all these videos of me talking about my cards, and they could think back to when they were young, going, oh, all those hours that Dad spent downstairs digging through cards, it makes sense now. I can watch the videos. I can see why it was important to him, which ones were most important to him, what did he pay for them, what might they be worth, anything, and it's really a pretty great idea. I don't know why more people aren't doing it. I don't know why it's taken me so long to decide to do it, but I'm really grateful for the conversation. I'm grateful for the nudge, and honestly, what better time to start making content than right after the National? We're right here in the Nationals New Year. Well, the calendar year for baseball card collecting and sports card collecting in general runs from National to National. So I guess, if you will, this could be considered kind of our sports collecting New Year's, So seems like a great time to get started. So going on into the National, talking about that, I had a great time. I had watched a lot of you guys' videos. Who do I watch? Baseball Collector, Tops 85 401, Elite Co 3, of course, Eric, Those Back Pages, and so many more. And all of you guys talking about, preparing for the National. What do you need to do, to be prepared for the National? What does that mean? And in my mind, I'd never been. It was my first. I've been to a lot of baseball card shows, so I'm thinking, oh, it's just a big baseball card show. So I just need to show up with money, right? But no, no. Tops 85 401 says Tylenol in the backpack. Thank you for that one, because my gosh, you are hunched over all day. You're standing in place all day. You're aching, and then you go back and do it the next day and the next day. So that's important. The other one, the one that really got me, the one that I didn't see coming. Overwhelmed. I was purely overwhelmed. I was looking for 2 cards only. There's 2 cards on my checklist that I had to get. And funny enough, I'm a baseball guy, but I've been stuck on football for a little while, and I'm a Kansas City guy, so Patrick Mahomes right now is my guy. I've been collecting him since we drafted him. And the 2 cards that I wanted to pick up, I spent the entire first day there. I was like, I'm not buying anything until I find them. I either want to find them and either buy them or rule them out. So I'm either going to have them, or I'm going to decide, well, it's not happening, and start looking around at other things. The end of the day on Thursday, I was there Thursday and Friday. No, I'm sorry, Friday and Saturday. By the end of the day on Friday, it was 5:47, and I hadn't bought anything, and I'd been there all day. hadn't bought anything. I've looked at a ton of stuff. And if you haven't been, just to give you an idea of how vast it was, first of all, half the show is vintage. I knew I wasn't going to find what I was looking for there, so I didn't even go to those tables. So there's half of it I didn't even look at. The other half, kind of modern or a mix, or memorabilia. And I spent most of my time there, but because of what I was looking for, because of the nature of the sport that I was looking, you know, I only looked in the football showcases. I didn't even look in the boxes because in my mind, the cards I was looking for were not going to be anywhere but the showcase. And that means I spent an entire day walking from booth to booth if I could get in. So I didn't even look at all the booths. There's some booths, if you who went know, you're just going to come back later. You're not going to get over there. So I went booth to booth, football showcase to football showcase, not even really looking at anything else, hunting. And it took me all day. And then I finally, irony of ironies, I found the booth in the back corner on the red carpet. It was a Kansas City booth. Funny enough, it was a guy that owns the baseball card store in Kansas City who I always go see. I go to that shop all the time, and I just thought it was kind of ironic that I had to go all the way to Chicago to the National to hunt for 2 cards that I ended up buying from a guy whose shop I go to all the time, so go figure. But he made me a good deal, and I got them. I found them, and here's the first one. Well, let me just show you this one. The primary one I was looking for was this one right here. This is the 2017. I apologize for the glare. I've not quite figured. There we go. I've not quite figured this out yet, but it's a 2017 Optic autograph, I think it's numbered 17 out of 150, and I mean, it's a beautiful card. I wanted to get it graded, but by the time I found the card, it was closing time on Friday. I hadn't looked around on Saturday, and I just kept thinking, I could take it and submit it. I would have paid the fee to have it back, by the end of the show, but it was already, I wasn't going to be there on Sunday, so I was going to have to hope that they could get it done on Saturday, or they were mailing it to me. If they're going to mail it to me, I'll just wait and do it later anyways. And then the other card he had that I was looking for, not necessarily in a 10. I wanted it in any facet, but most of them have been 10s that I've bought. But I love this card. I've not been able to nail it down on eBay. Here I get involved in these bids and I get blown out of the water. I throw my max bid in. It's not the max amount I'm going to pay necessarily, but it's somebody blows me out with way more than I thought the card would go for. That's the real tough part. I mean, I'm not going to go throw $1,000 on there because the sky's not the limit. But when you see this card going for $105, and then all of a sudden the one you're bidding on goes for $165, you're like, well, what happened there? But anyways, I found this one, and it was in a Gem Mint 10. And I was tickled. I walked out of there that Friday pretty happy. Bought 2 cards. That's it. 2 cards. These 2 cards. But like I told my wife, if the show ended for me that day, I'd go home a very happy man because I checked off both items on my list. So, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, I mean, the next day was just a gravy day for me. I was pretty pleased, because I was able to, well, and to back up, Friday I was by myself. Saturday, my wife and my daughters were coming with me. So I felt pretty pleased that I'd knocked out the must-haves. That way on Saturday, I could just dial it back and I could just kind of knock around and just look. And we had fun. I don't have my daughters here to show you, but my daughter, 5 years old, I haven't figured out if she's into cards or she's just into cards because I'm into cards, but I think she's kind of found her niche with soccer cards, so that might be a thing. But we went to the PSA booth. Of course, you guys have probably seen these about 100 times now. There's mine. Of course, you have to do the Honus Wagner. I mean, who wouldn't do the Honus Wagner? That's just awesome, And now my daughter, on the other hand, did not do the Honus Wagner. She decided she was going to do the Chicago one. I can't even think of who that is. I don't know. I'm sure you'll light up my comments, all one of you who's maybe watching. I don't know. But that was a pretty fun experience, and I picked up a gob more stuff. I might make a separate video going over all that just to keep this kind of short. But if you're ever considering going and you've got kids, don't think that you can't go because you got kids with you. I think I had more fun. I got the 2 cards I wanted on day 1, but I had more fun on day 2, simply because they were there. There's a lot of fun things for the kids, a lot of giveaways, a lot of just activities, just things. And I mean, she had balls and bats and dog tags and the card that we made, and they dug around for some soccer cards. Just had a good time. It was an all around good experience. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy about those pickups, and hopefully this video goes over well. I have no idea. So I'll see you guys on the next video.